Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. I originally planned this live stream to be this upcoming Sunday, but the boxes that we're going to open up off to the side here arrived early, a little bit beat up. I would have preferred waiting until they were actually supposed to show up on Saturday to open them, if it would have meant that they would have made it with a little bit less damage to the box. We'll have to see whether or not they're actually get damaged, but let's start opening the smaller packages and see what we come up with. Of course, don't know what ends up making it smell like glue, but it's got that really strong adhesive smell to it. And if I can get the the discs out, I'll have to blur that out of the final video. So we're going to start with Steve Miller Band Live. Do love the music discs because they do seem to maintain a value for general viewing. Plus, there's some historical value to them because well, I just think music does have historical value. And then the next disc, American Hot Wax. Curious, CR Motors VIP. Wonder who applied that sticker there. Put this on the opposite side. All right, we'll do this next one. And this is a music disc that I did want to listen to, and you'll see in a moment. I'll get it in front of the screen, and this is, of course, the Eurythmics Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. Should probably spin that up. And then the last one in the smaller packaging, two of them in here, of course. The UA version of Jezebel. They did state that it looked like there was some kind of stain on it. We'll take the disc out and look to see how bad that is. Although what's weird is it only looks like the label got wet. There doesn't seem to be anything on the caddy itself. If you're willing to bear with me, we'll just, let's pop the disc out. And doesn't look like there's any contamination on that disc, so maybe it's just bad environment. And then the other one in that mailer was Walt Disney, The Great Locomotive Chase. Nope, it was in color. Okay. Sometimes the labels can be a little bit deceiving because they'll have pictures in black and white, but the film itself is in color. All right, so we're going to start with the first box. I did take off the labels and a lot of other packing tape that was on here. Well, let's see what we have. If you can see in the box, well, don't want to spoil all the surprise. So the first disc is Amityville 2, The Possession, in great shape. am particularly happy with these, and the person I found who had them. So there's that one. The next one coming up, of course, a Barbarella. I believe that's Jane Fonda. Yes, it is Jane Fonda and Barbarella. This one is in great shape. Next one up, we have the Beastmaster. Mark Singer, Tanya Roberts, Rip Torn. Always did particularly enjoy him as an actor. Men in Black, the one where he had a supporting role was Down Periscope, one of my favorite movies. That would be one that if it would have come out on Videodisc, I'd probably be watching that all the time. Next up is Steve McQueen in Bullet. Caddy is in great shape as well. Next up, you probably got a sneak. Stephen King's Children of the Corn. And not too much blemishing there. Sounds like it's okay. There's still more in here, and we'll open up and put the next batch. And we'll see here. Yep. We have the CBS Fox edition of Scrooge. And I do forget who stars in here. Sir Alec Guinness. Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to see the three ghosts, I guess. We'll have to watch it and find out. And next up is, I believe... So, I didn't realize this is a 2-disc set. This is part 2 of Silverado. We'll have to make sure we can find the other disc. Might be in one of the other boxes. I'm just going to put this on the side of the table here so I can remind myself. And here's another one I've wanted to watch for a while. The one that we have in the library, the caddy is warped. And don't really want to get into the business like, okay, we're putting movies in caddies of extras and then deal with keeping track of what's in what. So we do keep it. It's there. We've got it. It's just that the end of the caddy is really warped, so you can't put it in the player. Spies Like Us, Chevy Chase, and Dan Aykroyd. I have seen it before. Great film. It's got a Johnny English vibe to it. If you've seen Johnny English. This one is still in the shrink wrap. Wow. Very impressed. Still in the shrink wrap. Supergirl. And for as old as it is, the shrink wrap is not squishing the spine into the case, or into the caddy, which is really good. Yes, the plastic, you can see my ugly mug in the reflection. Another one still in the shrink wrap. Plastic is pulling on a little bit, but it's split up by the spine, so it's not pulling this, squeezing the spine into the caddy. A Love Me Tender. Oh, and introducing Elvis Presley. Wow, okay. Just going to turn the live chat on. Hello, hello, hello. And yes, it is. Thank you. I just turned the chat on so you can see what's going on. I do thank everybody who's joining or watching, whatever time you're watching. If you're not watching live right now, thanks for watching. If you like this sort of content, please check out all the other sort of videos we have on the Unwrapped Legacy Media and Computer channel. Here's the next one. Also in the shrink wrap, called Flaming Star. Oh, wow. Also Elvis Presley. This is very good. I'm just looking at the cast list there. And next one coming up, Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon in Some Like It Hot. And as far as I understand, she did love it hot. Take a look at the back. Go on to the next one. And we've got another one here that's still in the shrink wrap. Just gonna look here. Molly Ringwald, Paul Dooley, Justin Henry, Anthony Michael Hall, who starred in one of my favorite late 90s films called Pirates of Silicon Valley. I thought he played a really good Bill Gates in that. So let's just ask the question, how do we label discs for the library that are still in shrink wrap? Well, you figured movies that you still got in shrink wrap, it says you want to leave in shrink wrap until you play them or somebody wants to play them in the library. We don't completely unwrap them. We only unwrap them on this side of it so that we can place the accession label right here on the caddy. So let me go, we'll say it was 16 candles. Here's the back of it. We'll go to the next one. And like I said, it's going to be a big one tonight because we have 2 boxes after this. So if you are a viewer who's in the CED Magic channel, you may want to go hype it up tonight and be like, hey, get in here, see what's going on. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'll try to think who. Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, and Phoebe Cates. Wow. With Brian Backer, Robert Romanus, and Ray Walston. Speaking of Judge Reinhold, they're supposed to be doing, working title is a Beverly Hills Cop 4, where he's coming back with Eddie Murphy. And a lot of the other original Beverly Hills Cop cast. Only one Beverly Hills Cop made it onto CED, and that, of course, was the original Beverly Hills Cop. Next up, we have Omen 2, Damien. A big fan of Gregory Peck. I don't recall if he... No, he does not star in this one. Then we have the original Omen. This one does star Gregory Peck. I have seen this one. I can't even remember if I've seen the whole movie from start to finish. But, you know, Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, David Warner. Big star actor there. And then this one is big. You can never find it, and if you do find it, somebody wants an awful lot for a very beat up copy. And this, of course, is Friday the 13th, Part 2. The library now has, I believe, the whole collection of Friday the 13th. And I'm trying to think. We're just going to look at the cast list. Amy Steele, John Fury, Adrienne King, Kirsten Baker, Stu Charno, Warrington Gillette, and Walt Gurney. And that's it for this first box. Let me put some of the packing material in here. And we'll slide a lot of this stuff. Just put it in the other room, and we'll be right back. We'll get the other box up here, open it up. So while we're doing this, if anybody who's watching has any CED related questions, of course, if it's my high school partner in crime who's still watching, you probably don't, and that's okay. Awesome. was going to say answer some CED related questions. And this is more of a personal preference to me these days. Is a lot of what I call selective visionaries, people who are in CED. They like the format. It's nostalgic. It's unique. It's American, if that's why you're into it, will often have multiple players, and they'll use one of these players to what they call pre-play a disc, kind of go have it play through the entire disc, break any dusty grooves or whatnot, so it doesn't skip as much. But they don't make stylus cartridges for this anymore, and the RCA engineer who the library is named after passed away and told us before he passed away that we've even run out of parts. The diamond tips, which are almost microscopic. The box isn't that heavy. Actually, you wouldn't believe it. The player is lighter than the box with the discs in it is lighter than the player. All right, so it's a 2 discs. We got a 2 disc set, special edition. These caddies are in great shape. We'll do 1 disc at a time. Of course, this is part 1, special or Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It is a Steven Spielberg film, and I do enjoy a lot of Steven's work, but I just couldn't get into this movie. Maybe we should play it again, see if I can get into it this time. So if you notice, as I'm showing you both the front and the back, that in this case, this movie, it's different pictures, and of course, Leonard Maltin from Entertainment Tonight doesn't put same thing. He doesn't write the same article for the back of each caddy label. There's something different on both of them, so you can read something else on both. And here's another film that I enjoy, and they're really young in this. Just to give you a hint, Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, Jack Nicholson. There isn't really, and there's a lot of controversy about how do you clean a disc without playing it. People have tried the sink, distilled water. People have tried compressed air. Somebody even suggested maybe trying it in an ultrasonic cleaner if you had one big enough you could fit a disc in. But the problem with when these discs were manufactured at the factory, a layer of lubricant of some particular chemical formula was sprayed on the discs. And of course, after 40, 50 years, it breaks down, it gets some adhesive to it, so stuff sticks to it. And having it on there, even the 50-year-old the 50-year-old formula of the lubricant on the disc is better for helping the stylus not wear down as much than cleaning it. So just quickly going to go through Easy Rider, the front, the back again, and then let me slide this out of the way. So RCA always recommended you store your discs in this orientation, upright or like that, never horizontal, especially not for very long, because you risk damaging the discs by exponential compression. The more discs you stack, the ones at the bottom are going to take a beating, and the groove compression at that level of very, very small, aren't going to make it. So you'll often hear people talk about don't buy a disc if you see that the seller has got it stacked. Well, you know pretty well that those discs have been stacked horizontally, and there may be long-term stacking damage. But because no one really has a chain of custody of discs from when they left the factory to where they are now, every just take a drink of water here. Every disc, there is that risk of having it been stacked at one point in time. So this disc, Robert Urich, Joe Beth Williams, Paul Dooley, Hoyt Axton, Peter Coyote, another. The shrink wrapped discs, it's you really can't tell. I've played brand new old stock discs that you'd think we found the DeLorean, went back in time to 1984, played it in an RCA dealership. And there have been others where did somebody re-shrink wrap this thing because it played absolutely horrible. Or maybe it was new old stock and just had compression damage. You can never be able to tell. So here is Endangered Species. There's the front. And the back. We'll get the next disc. Here's an old one. We'll give you a hint. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson actually starred in the remake of this movie, which this one was done according to the copyright. It looks like 1975. Eddie Albert, Ray Milland, Donald Pleasance, co-starring Kim Richards and Ike Eisenman. And that is Escape to Witch Mountain. And next up, this completes the set. The library now has both copies of these, and this is Volume 2 of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now here's some useless trivia. Netflix has a great show on that streaming service about toys of our childhood. I don't remember the exact name of the show, but it often talks about certain toys. Well, He-Man, it wasn't like, oh, let's have a cartoon and then let's make the toy. They made the toy first, and then they had the cartoon come second. Next up, Cannon Group. Barbie Benton in Hospital Massacre, also starring Chip Lucia, John Van Ness, John Warner Williams, and Den Sherrills. Just looking at the whole cast list. We'll show it up there. So anyway, this is Hospital Massacre. Of course, nope, not black and not black and white. It is color. So, question about the styly. Right now, we don't have access to the 3D printing technology that could do that. We can actually still get the diamond tips. The company that manufactured them for RCA is still in business, except that we can't really afford the minimum quantity. If you are not a member of the CED Magic channel, sign up. Josh Gibson of CED Datum, or CE Datum, however you want to do it, and you can, Josh, if you're watching, beat me up later. It was something unrealistic for us in the CED community. It was like 1 million diamonds or diamond tips. Not a practical amount for us to get. If we could ever figure it out, they They are investigating, looking at things to do, because when we run out of working styluses, that's it. There's nothing else after that. Okay, the next disc, House on Sorority Row. So discs that were put out by Vestron, there's kind of a following for those. Everybody, like, some people only collect Star Trek, Star Wars, or science fiction, horror, whatnot. Some people only collect Vestron discs. So there's a few out there that are also very difficult to come by. Here is one that is still in the shrink wrap. Nope, it's not Disney, although the animation might have fooled me a little bit. Jack and the Beanstalk. It's not a fairy tale theater version. And there's that. We'll see. I'm not sure how many more we have in this box. It looks like there's a few. Take out the next one. And all the caddies look very good shape. Here we have Jason and the Argonauts. And of course, who stars in that? We have Todd Armstrong, Nancy Kovac, Gary Raymond, and Lawrence Naismith. Of course, we want to get the back of the disc. If while I'm scrolling through, if you want me to stop, if you want me to get closer on something, just comment in the chat. I am paying as close attention to it as I can. And Krull, I ended up getting 2 copies of this. Something happened with the ordering, and one was included with a previous order. There would be... I have to check on the library shelving. I think 1,700 titles and almost 2,100 discs. Of course, I could be wrong, but that's a great idea to do a video at our right now currently temporary shelving system where we have it. To do that, we will great idea for a video this weekend. I would say if you're getting into CED, and the reason you're getting into CED, I guess it depends on the reason. If you're getting into it because you actually had one, you were alive during the 80s, start with some of the either TV shows or movies that you had or you saw in the 80s or you had in the 80s. If you're getting into it now because, oh, this is pretty neat technology for the time, and you're just getting into it because you like it, start with either the genre of film that you like or the series that you like. Some people like Star Wars. Some people like Star Trek. Some people like the Friday the 13th series or horror. You don't have to have a big collection. Some people only have a dozen or a couple dozens of discs. Other people have hundreds. Other people have thousands. We're only looking to also try to just preserve for posterity the whole set, because where we are in the country, the Northeast, we have room for it. Oh, wow. Oh. So I'm just going to show, this is another one that's also difficult to find. When it does come up, it's really beat up. This is Night of the Comet. And if I just remember, yes, Robert Beltran, Commander Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager, Catherine Mary Stewart, Kelly Maroney, Sharon Farrell, Mary Warrenoff, and Jeffrey Lewis star in this. Great, great movie. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not watching it on CED, even if you're watching it on another video format, certainly worth watching. And this one I'm going to show in a moment. I'll give you a hint. His given name is Paul Rubin. He passed away recently in terms of the perspective of when this video was taken. There was only one of his movies available on CED, and that was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This is another one that seems to be difficult to come by. I don't know why. The pressing numbers weren't significantly low for this, but here we are. I've always been a Charlton Heston fan. Charlton Heston starred in this movie. They're going to show in just a second. There were several that came out after this. There's been a remake, several remakes, but here we go. Planet of the Apes, the RCA version of this. I believe there were two versions. Yes, yep. And loved this movie with them. Remember, damn it, you blew it up. Yes. So there's one more left in this box. This one, it's great. Jack Palance, Donald Pleasance, Martin Landau, Dwight Schultz. For the viewer who I know who's watching, did you hear me? Dwight Schultz. And Erland Van Lith star in Alone in the Dark. Those came out really, really, really good. So just gonna move this box out of the way here. There's one box left. I know this is a significantly longer mail call, but I think the titles and the quality of the discs is really good. I think, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. So let's see what we got here. A very young John Cusack, Daphne Zuniga, which I'm probably mispronouncing that, star in The Sure Thing. Looked like an Embassy, yes, Embassy Home Entertainment. Also, really, really good quality. Well, and there was another movie earlier, if we're going to be talking about Star Trek actors. If you were watching the stream when we showed the film Night of the Comet, Robert Beltran starred in that, very young Robert Beltran. Okay. And next up, who do we have starring in this? Anthony Michael Hall, again. Elin Mitchell Smith and Kelly LeBrock star in Weird Science. And I'm just very impressed with the quality, the shape that the caddies are in. Really good shape. And let's see here. Needed the RCA version of this. It's a two disc set. Let's see which one is which, and of course that's the RCA released version of West Side Story. And are they both the same? Okay, so like some others, the rear label is not the same across both the discs. The pictures are different. The text is different. So, like I said, it always makes it interesting to go through and watch. So we'll put that aside. This one that I'm pulling out here, it's still in the shrink wrap. The shrink wrap is just now starting to, you can, we'll just get it up here on the camera here a little bit, starting to squeeze the spine in the caddy, so we'll have to break the seal on this. Really don't want to, but I'll explain why. If you let the caddy or the spine get squeezed into the caddy, it will end up splitting the two. I don't know how the two pieces of caddy plastic were adhered together, if it was sonic welding or whatever. It really makes it a pain, but okay. So broke the top, and here we have the Walt Disney version of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. Starring Bobby Driscoll, Robert Newton, and Basil Sidney. This next one is still in the shrink wrap. It's not squeezing the spine into the caddy. And it must have been when the stereo video disc first came out, because the shrink wrap still has this stereo video disc will play on any stereo or monaural player. So it's Hair. It's the RCA release of Hair. We do have if it's CBS, Fox, or MGM, but we do have the other version of it as well. The next disc we have coming up stars Ryan O'Neal, Shelley Long, and a young Drew Barrymore. The copyright on this is 1985. It's also a Vestron title. Irreconcilable Differences. Come down here and pull out the next one. So we have Dan Monahan, Wyatt Knight, Mark Carrier, Roger Wilson, Cyril O'Reilly, Tony Ganos, Kaki Hunter, Scott Columbi, and Nancy Parsons star in Porky's to the Next Day. And when I first looked at this, I almost thought that was like John Candy done in makeup. But nope, that was not the case. I'm completely wrong on that. Next up, Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, and Harvey Keitel. Big fan of all three of those. And speaking of Douglas's, I did get the opportunity. I did not walk up to him and introduce myself, but I just happened to be eating at a hotel dining room. down in Long Lake, New York. Happened to be getting up after finishing my meal, just finishing the dessert course, and in walked Michael Douglas and his entourage of people. Catherine was not with him, but often lets you wonder because you don't think like, boy, do you did he interrupt him, not get an autograph or whatnot? I didn't ask for one, but it was just really nice to bump into a celebrity like that. So we have Saturn III. The caddy is in great shape. Great shape. And the studio cat has come into the kitchen and is attacking some of the paper that's fallen out of the box, which is okay. And here's one I've been wanting to... oh, wow. Special home video version. Let's see, who stars in it? Huh. On the back of it, it doesn't actually say who's starring in the film. So we'll just have to show it to you. The special home video version of Explorers. And here's the back. Four or five more discs left. So if you're gauging how much more we've got. And let's see, this next disc stars Christopher George, Robert Ginty, and Samantha Egger, and a suspenseful tale of intrigue and cold-blooded murder. And here we have The Exterminator. So this next disc has 2 releases available in this format. Stars, wow, Stephen Boyd, Raquel Welch, Edmund O'Brien, Donald Pleasance, Arthur O'Connell, William Redfield, and Arthur Kennedy. And this is the RCA release of Fantastic Voyage. Next up, this is one that I've been wanting for the collection for a while. It has both intrinsic and sentimental values. One of the first watch it and have it keep you up all night. It stars Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Bears, Roddy McDowall, Stephen Jeffries, Jonathan Stark, Dorothy Fielding, Art Evans, and Stuart Stern. And of course, it is Fright Night. And the next disc, we have Anthony Edwards, Linda Fiorentino, and of course, it doesn't list anybody other than that, but there are more people who are in it. And it's called Gotcha. That's why I stopped at that number, keeping it way under the minimum. The RCA maximum recommendation, they said, don't stack any higher than 11. And, well, yeah, I'm certainly not going to do that. That's why I stopped there. Got them stacked up the right way behind me. So the next disc we have, Tom Atkins, Stacy Nelkin, Dan O'Hurley. It's a John Carpenter film. Let you figure out which it is. Looks like this is the one that does not star. Oh, I can't think of her name. There we go. Jamie Lee Curtis. And that is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I'll flip it around here. I believe it's strange. I think in CED there was only 2 of these released. It was Halloween and Halloween 3, or it was Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, but one of them was missing, and you kind of scratched your head and wonder why. Did like RCA not get the license to publish that on CED? But if anybody happens to know, why don't you post it in the comments? And the next one we have, Ruth Gordon and Bud Cort star in Harold and Maude. And the absolute last one for the evening, starring Don Scardino, Caitlin O'Heaney, Elizabeth Kemp, Tom Rolfing, Lewis Art, Patsy Pease, James Rebhorn, a very young Tom Hanks, and Dana Barron star in He Knows You're Alone. And this concludes a very lengthy mail call for LMC Live. Thank you for watching. I have to have a conversation with one of my very good library people about our Discord server. It is set up. I just don't recall the information, but if you want to join us there, we'll be there as soon as I can get in it. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing to the video. Also, if you wouldn't mind spotting me a cup of coffee, or the cash equivalent for a cup of coffee, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. The links are in the video description down below if you're watching on a computer. Have a great night, great day, great week, great weekend, whatever, and we'll see you in the next